Hi guys! Welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new legal advice content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first one is titled, "People are living in our just-built town home claiming they are renting but will leave for only $15K. Police are not being helpful. What am I supposed to do here?" Ontario, Canada. Me and my wife bought a new town home. It was finally completed last Friday. We had a walk through and were given keys of the finished unit on Monday, and everything was fine. Today was our move-in day. We showed up before the movers, only to discover two women sitting on blankets in our living room. They got extremely defensive and claimed they paid to rent it, and I called the police. I walked around the back and the patio door looks like it was shattered. The police came and I provided them with all the paperwork showing we are the owners. However, he came back with a residential tenancy form that was apparently, they both signed, half of it seemed to be blank. The landlord's name is someone who I have no idea who they are. On top of that, the kicker is that apparently their monthly rent is only $250 a month. After about 2 hours of back and forth of this, the police officer gave us a report number and recommended we seek legal aid. However, he cannot remove them from the premises until he is able to talk to the landlord, who apparently no one can get a hold of. After he left, one of the women came up to my wife and basically told her they would leave for $15,000, no questions asked. I offered them $500 and she laughed at me. From when we were in there, the entire house already stinks of cigarettes, and I am pulling my hair out because of this. I am trying desperately to get in touch with our lawyer. We talked briefly to building company, and they told us as soon as they gave us the keys it isn't their problem. Update. Today, they were forcefully removed from the property by the police. Our lawyer was somehow able to get a judge to look at everything and approve having them removed. The police officer basically told us to not move in and have the entire house professionally cleaned, as there is a bunch of needles and other things laying around. On top of all that, it seems they tried to seemingly destroy everything in our house. All the new appliances that came with our house are basically ruined. All toilets and bathtubs seemingly look like they have been smashed with a hammer. In some places it looks like someone tried to rip the ducting wiring out of our walls, etc. Basically, our house, I guess, basically as a final duck you to us. Our lawyer has basically told us the odds of us getting anything of value out of them is basically nil. I wanted them to go to jail for breaking and entering, but apparently it doesn't work like that. I hate humanity. The next one is titled, "My cousin lives in a basement suite. His landlord has recently enacted a new rule in their home that states lights out by 10 p.m., which is enforced via circuit breakers to save on power and lower landlord's power bills, except my cousin is paying for his own power." Manitoba, Canada. As the title states, my cousin is currently renting a basement suite in the house of an older gentleman who owns the property. Legally, the renting situation is done by the book and follows the law to a T. However, 3 weeks ago, my cousin received a notice stating that there will be a new addition to the rules that says lights out by 10 p.m. My cousin isn't overly bothered by this, as he is usually in bed by 9 p.m. anyways, and he can understand his elderly landlord wanting peace and quiet at night. Unfortunately, he realized immediately when it first came into effect that this is enforced by the landlord by physically turning off the power to the whole house by use of the circuit breakers, aside from the breakers for the refrigerators and freezers. This leads to a few problems. 1. My cousin is unable to see where he is going when using the bathroom or getting water at night without the use of a flashlight, or phone candles are forbidden in the basement suite. 2. My cousin is unable to charge his phone overnight, which is a major issue as he needs it for an alarm and worries about it dying, leading him to potentially sleep in. He can't even run an extension cord from the same socket as the fridge and freezer because he might blow the breaker. And the new rule specifically states that extension cords are not permitted if they are going to be used to circumvent the new rule. 3. The landlord rarely turns on the power at the designated time, 8 a.m., due to him either sleeping in, going to church, or just straight up forgetting. This leads to craps, showers, and shaves in the dark, no bathroom window, and is generally an inconvenience. 4. My cousin pays for his own power, and therefore he should be allowed to use his power as he sees fit. Instead, he has to live with this situation because his landlord wants cheaper bills. We both understand that this is a silly first world problem, but he is tired of feeling like he's living the Amish lifestyle and wants to know if there is any legal recourse he could take to find common ground with his landlord. He hasn't looked to sue the poor man. He just wants to use his own power and is willing to make compromises so both of them are happy. If he could just have the breaker for the bathroom lights and the one for his nightstand and phone charger, he would be a happy camper. However, his landlord refuses to budge. Does anyone have any ideas on how to approach this? What kind of lawyer will he need in this situation? Thank you so much for taking the time to read this and offering advice. It is greatly appreciated. Take care. Update. My cousin's landlord enacted a new rule that states lights out by 10 p.m. and is enforced by the landlord using the breakers to shut off all power, despite my cousin paying for his own electricity. My cousin and I want to thank all of you for the incredible amount of advice and support you have offered him. He couldn't believe how many people cared and was touched by the very kind messages we have received by you fine folks. Thank you so much. This situation was resolved rather quickly, so thankfully it's all over. Now for the update. My cousin is moving out this weekend. He spoke to the landlord several times, citing several laws he was breaking and how my cousin pays for his own power, and therefore he shouldn't have his electricity shut off just because the landlord wants to save a few dollars. Also, one of you messaged me to let me know that breakers aren't meant to be turned on and off frequently, and that he is going to burn out all of his fuses if he continues. The landlord refused to listen and told him he shouldn't believe everything he reads on the internet. My cousin went ahead and printed out many comments from you folks, as well as copies of the laws he was breaking, and he told him that if he doesn't stop, he would get authorities and lawyers involved. Needless to say, the landlord did not like that one bit. After an argument, the landlord stated that my cousin should move out as he didn't trust him anymore. And my cousin was genuinely sad as he liked this man and had considered him a friend before all of this. The landlord said that he will not change his mind no matter how hard my cousin fights it, and that it's best that he just moves out. Anyways, the landlord told him that if he moves out, he will void the lease and return the rent he has paid up for June, July, and August, as well as the security deposit, all under the condition that he moves out by the end of the month and doesn't get lawyers or anybody else involved. My cousin decided to cut his losses and move on. Luckily, my cousin is a minimalist and has very little to pack and move. He is going to be moving in with his girlfriend, which he is very happy about, and he will not be pursuing anything against the landlord as he got all of his money back, about $3,000, and he doesn't have to deal with James ever again. While my cousin didn't get the outcome he wanted, he still got a pretty good deal. He was planning on living with his girlfriend sometime in the near future, so this event just sped things along. My cousin and I honestly feel bad for James as the man has gone through a lot and has had a pretty rough life. Still, this doesn't excuse his behavior and nonsensical rules. And that is it. Thank you all again for your help and support. It was honestly overwhelming. Take care, you beautiful people. Edit. Since I'm getting nasty messages, I figured I should edit this to let everyone know that I have finally convinced my cousin to report him. He will be reporting the moment he has moved out, which is Saturday. We're also looking to get him help for his declining mental health. Also, my cousin already received every dime owed to him in cash, and he received a revised contract stating that the lease was voided as of June 1st, and that no further payments will be required. There you go, folks. Please stop insulting my cousin and me. Next one is titled, My Fiancé May Die. His sister wants half of our house if he passes. My fiancé was in a car accident about a week ago. He has a 50-50 chance of surviving, though things have started to look up. His sister is also his birth mother. She got pregnant at 13 and his grandparents adopted him. So legally she is his sister. She has never had any involvement in his life. His adoptive parents died 3 years ago. My fiancé and I have 2 children together and own a house. We have been together since we were 13 and are getting married this October. Our house is nearly paid off, and I can't afford to pay half of the house equity to her by myself. I have no idea what to do or if she even has a stake in the house. He is 23 and does not have a will. He also has a life insurance policy that she wants half of. I can't get a lawyer to talk to me without coming in for a $600 plus consult. I'm hoping someone can give me some kind of direction so I can stop worrying about my children and I becoming homeless and focus on my fiancé. This is in Ohio. Edit. All of my legal questions have been answered. I really appreciate everyone who took the time to respond. I'm going to contact a lawyer in the morning to discuss this in greater detail. Please pray or send good thoughts my fiancé's way. I will update his condition when I find out more. Update. Fiancé may die. Sister wants half of our house if he passes. My post got a decent amount of attention. I thought I would update since I still get really sweet messages from people wishing me well, praying for me and my family. My fiancé, now husband, did pull through. He's currently in our backyard setting up a tent to camp out with our 2- and 3-year-old boys. He was in a coma for over a month, and the doctors were pretty sure he would never wake up. His recovery was slow, and he still goes to physical therapy 4 times a week, but he is pretty much back to normal now, and we couldn't be happier. Although it was a horrible thing to go through, it changed both of us for the better. You don't realize how much the small things matter until they're about to be taken from you. He was appalled by his sister's actions when I finally discussed it with him. We recently both made wills and made sure there is no chance SIL or BAL will get any money if both of us were to pass, or God forbid our children too. We also chose godparents for our children, and we are expecting a baby girl in 2018. I really appreciate all of the sweet, thoughtful messages I was sent. They definitely made me feel better on bad days to know how many people were praying for him. The next one is titled, My landlord called the cops on me for trying to pay my rent. Cop made her let me pay. Now I'm being evicted for non-payment. Texas. There is a very long and convoluted backstory, but in July, my apartment complex was bought out by one of those property flipping companies. They left me without air conditioning for 17 days in heat over 100 deg. When I complained, she told me to call the city. They shut down the website where we could make payments. This was never an issue. I could pay online, and I was never late in the year and a half before this company bought my complex. They've made my life an absolute living hell and will not allow me to pay, racking up more and more late fees every month. This month, I went in on the 4th to pay my rent. It was one day after the late fee policy, so I expected to pay a $50 late fee. She told me she could not take my check. My lease says checks are accepted through the 10th. I was already exhausted with her after the air conditioning fiasco and told her I had to pay my rent, and I tried to leave the check with her. She told me she was calling the cops. I left. I got a knock on my door and thought it would be the cops. It was her. She gave me my check back with a copy of my lease. It said in handwriting on the back that checks are accepted the 1st through 3rd. On the front, in typing, where I signed, it said checks are accepted through the 10th. I went back in there with the check and tried to show her where it says I could pay by check through the 10th. She would not listen to me. She would not even look at the lease I was pointing to. The cop finally came, talked to me, talked to her, then told me she said she'd make a one-time exception and take my check. I thought this month's hell was finally over. Today, 4 days later, I hear someone trying to unlock my door. I quickly got dressed and went to the door. It was her with her key, trying to come in. I asked what she was doing, and she handed me an eviction notice. She said she could not accept my check because I had an NSF before. I have once, because they took so long to cash it and I forgot about it. That was my fault, but this is not. My lease also says no checks will be accepted after 2 NSF. I have only had one. My eviction notice says I have until the 11th to get out, or they will change the locks. I can't afford a lawyer and I need help. They're in violation of my lease and trying to enter my property without notice or permission. A cop was here and told her to take my check. What do I do? Update. Thank you all so much for all the wonderful advice. I definitely feel more educated and informed about my rights now. I'm no longer being evicted, and I got all of my late fees back as an account credit, except for $5, but at this point, I don't even care to ask why. I use the property records to hunt down their main office in Houston. I live in Dallas and forward them the same email outlining all the ways they had violated my lease that I had sent to the TAA the city, as well as the apparently pointless thanks, guys BBB. The guy there got me set up with the online payment system that they actually do have, contrary to what the office manager here told me. Next month, I can just pay online. He went through my account, got it paid, and refunded me $125 in late fees as a credit. I actually overpaid $5 still, but it's mostly a win without having to go to court. I also now have the contact information for a pro bono place that specializes in housing, just in case I ever need it. Thank you all so much for the overwhelming number of responses and information. The last one is titled, Sat down on my friend's Macbook and broke it. offered to pay her the money for it, but now she wants more because she was upgrading anyway, so it's this or she will sue me in small claims court. I had some of my friends over at my house, and one of my friends invited one of her other friends to come over. She had her MacBook on my couch when I sat on it and broke it. Since it was completely my fault, I offered to pay her the money for it and she agreed. She got it 3 years ago and it cost $2,200 at the time. I told her I'd wire you the money in a week to her bank account. She's now emailed me saying that as per our conversation she's expecting the $2,700 that I have agreed for. I didn't know why she added the extra money, so I got her number from my friend and called her to find her, telling me she's now expecting me to pay for her new upgraded MacBook since she was upgrading anyway. She said if I don't agree to do that, she'll be suing me in small claims court. Can a judge agree to that? Should I wire her the $2,200 or should I just tell her go sue me? Location is California. Super awesome update. I never thought this would turn out the way it did, and I really felt like I learned so much stuff in the process thanks to all of you. I went through every single comment from the 200+ ones, and I sincerely thank each and every one of you. I did some research specifically for repairing the screen for the MacBook, and for her particular model, it's around $310 for the screen, plus the labor cost, so I wrote her back saying that since she didn't accept my initial offer of $2,200, I'm withdrawing that offer and offering to pay for the repair cost. She sent me an email calling me a witch and that she's going to take me to court. I got served a few days later and went to court. I told the judge I gave her 3 options to choose from. 1. Either to write her a check for a brand new one, which was $2,200. 2. Get her a refurbished one from Apple or a third party, or even used, which would be around $1,400. Or 3. Fix her current MacBook, since the screen is the only thing affected here, and it would cost around $300 plus money for labor. I printed out the email I sent her and the mail she sent back refusing to demand the $2,700 and calling me a witch and saying we'll go to court, plus screenshots for the price quotes from different websites for a new, refurbished, and the screen fix for her particular model, and gave it to the judge. I also told him that when I offered at the very beginning to get her a new one from the Apple Store, she said no, I want the money in cash. When I told her I'd give her $2,200 for a new one, she said okay, but later came asking for $2,700 because she wants to upgrade. I tried to show him how it's clearly visible that she's trying to take advantage of me. She gave the judge an attitude almost the whole time, which really pissed the judge off and helped my case, I guess. After listening to both of us, he ruled that I pay 50% of the repair costs since she negligently left her laptop on the couch. So I'll only be paying not more than $200 or $250 for the whole thing. If it weren't for you guys, I would have paid $2,200 instead of around $200, and I honestly loved her look at the end as we walked out. I feel good for following all the advice here. Thanks for listening.